Welcome to day 10. We're speaking about being boxed in by inadequacy. Now, in times of isolation, we often find ourselves coming face to face with ourselves. It makes us feel uncomfortable because for many of us, we feel inadequate in the deepest, most part of ourselves. There's so many moments when we don't feel like we are enough. You might feel that way when you look at your bank accounts or when you were younger, when you checked your grades. It happens a lot when we compare ourselves to others and it seems that they are doing so much better than we are. When we feel like we don't measure up, we feel like we are being boxed in by inadequacies. In one of the most epic scenes, a large crowd of over 5,000 people gathered to hear Jesus teach. And as the day went on, the disciples quickly realized that there had been inadequate food supplies. They tried to put the problem off and they said, Jesus, can't we just send them away? But Jesus had a different approach. He asked them to take an account of what they had around them. And he took what they had and he miraculously just multiplied it. In Luke chapter 9, verse 10 to 17, we see this. When the apostles returned, they told Jesus everything that they had done. Then he slipped away quietly from the crowd toward the town of Bathsheba. But the crowds found out where he was going and they followed him and he welcomed them and he taught them about the kingdom of God. And he healed those who were sick. Verse 12 tells us that late into the afternoon, the 12 disciples came to him and said, send the crowds away to the nearby villages and farms so that they can find food and lodging for the night. There is nothing to eat here for them in this remote place. But Jesus said, you feed them. But we have only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, they answered. Or are you expecting us to go and buy enough food for this whole crowd? For there were about 5,000 men there. And Jesus replied, tell them to sit down in groups of about 50 each. So the people all sat down and Jesus took the 5 loaves and 2 fish. He looked up to heaven and he blessed them. And in breaking the loaves into pieces, he kept giving the bread and the fish to the disciples so that they could distribute it among the people. They all ate as much as they wanted, and afterwards the disciples picked up 12 baskets of leftovers. See, feeling inadequate can actually be a good thing if we let it lead us to Jesus. When we look to achievements, accumulation of anything other than Jesus for our soul satisfaction and significance, we will always feel boxed in by inadequacy. You can't satisfy that feeling of not having enough, not being enough. But when we turn to Jesus, we become unboxed by inadequacy. So here's a question. What part of your life do you tend to compare yourselves to others? Which Bible verse speaks powerfully to you today?